Hello and welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton, and joining me on the podcast today is my good friend Eric Colley. How are you, Eric?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, mate. Look, let's not make with the small talk today because, man, a terrible tragedy happened overnight in England where these kids were having like a Taylor Swift themed dance rehearsal or just dance practice.
And a knife-wielding maniac attacked them and killed some of the kids.
Right. So we're
It's
going to talk
horrible.
about that in depth. We'll also talk about the Olympics because there's a lot of stories coming out of Paris, some good, some not so good.
Fighting with the judges.
Oh, yeah.
That never pays off.
CoCo Gauff, man.
Yeah, you can't argue with the judges.
So Angelina
Oh, they
Jolie and Brad Pitt's kid, Pax, had a bad bike accident. E-bike, actually. So it's kind of like a motorbike.
They're motorcycles, basically.
Yeah, he had a bad accident. And our almost news segment, Britney Spears. Is her house on the market or is it not?
Well, if you looked online, it was.
Oh.
But not everything online is true.
To begin with, though, devastating news out of England. In a place called Southport, a 17-year-old kid waited outside of a dance studio where a bunch of little kids were practicing, dance moves to Taylor Swift music.
Yeah, it was a Taylor-themed dance party class. This 17-year-old, which what drives a 17-year-old to do this? There's footage now coming out of him pacing around the house for 20 minutes before he went in with a knife, just attacked everyone. So far, we know 3 children are dead, sadly. Others are in very critical condition. There's some adults who are trying to protect the children and were also stabbed. They are still alive right now, but they are also in the hospital. It's just horrible.
It is. Taylor Swift has spoken out herself, saying she's completely in shock. The loss of life and innocence and horrendous trauma inflicted on everyone who was just there. The families, the first responders, these were just little kids at a dance class. I'm completely at a loss for words. How to convey my sympathies to these families. Man, it's just crazy. The people over there in England were saying it felt like we were in the US. Like this felt like a scene from America.
Well, what's sad is if it had been in the U.S., it wouldn't have been a knife attack. It would have been guns, and probably more than 3 would be dead. But we always kind of joke here about Swifties and like how obsessed they are with Taylor and stuff. But I got to give a shout out to all the Swifties here because they have rallied and organized and done this GoFundMe, and so far have already raised well over $100,000 for these families and the victims.
That is great.
You know what? They use their powers for good, and sometimes so I got to give them credit for that. But yeah, this is just, and the royal family obviously has come out and talked about this because this is just it's a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, even the royals are talking about it. But yeah, I mean, horrible news. I'm sure more details will emerge about maybe who
Why?
the kid was
I guess
and
we always want to know why, but there's never a real good answer for that. There's no why for that.
There's no why for that. There's nothing that could even come close to.
That's what you kind of wonder because he's 17. For somebody that young, what is it? Just fully just mental illness, or what drives you to do something like that at that age? You're so young. Who concocts that?
It's got to be just something mental illness. Like there's no reason. I can't even think. It's just horrible. I'm at a loss for words too.
Yeah,
I can't believe
it's just awful.
Okay, let's get on with our next story. The Olympics is going on. Man, there's a few stories we can talk about off the top. CoCo Gauff, though, she was America's flag bearer. They usually give the flag to someone who they hope will,
maybe
rise to heights.
Maybe the new Venus or Serena.
Wasn't to be. CoCo Gauff splashed out of the Olympic Games in pretty spectacular fashion because she lost in straight sets to a Croatian, Donna Vekic. And in the match, CoCo was very emotional. There was an interesting call in tennis. I don't know if you play tennis.
I don't.
But this Vekic lady who ended up winning the game hit the ball. It landed in, but an umpire shouted out. And as the umpire shouted out, CoCo hit the ball back, and CoCo's shot landed out. So the umpire overruled and said, look, no, the Vekic's shot was in, but CoCo, your out still counts. The rally is still, counts. And so that was almost the moment where all the dominoes started falling over for, because she lost her cool. She started crying. She's saying how unfair it is. This always happens to me when I come to France. And she couldn't, rally herself, get herself together.
Yeah, and when you start arguing with the umpires, it's not going to usually go your way. And it's interesting, you notice when she starts arguing with him, the crowd starts booing her.
Yeah.
They are not having it.
Yeah.
So she didn't win any fans there in Paris, but she said, this has happened to her like 3 times, and she's like, in this court, and she's like, it's just kind of like it's not fair to me.
Yeah.
Like, you called me out before I even had a chance. But I think they were saying because her ball went out anyway, it wouldn't have mattered, so they gave the point to
That's basically what they said. They said, it didn't affect the rally. You hit it back and you hit it out anyway. I don't know the rules of tennis that intimately that I can, justice for CoCo. Like, I don't know.
But just, people, I think you see this a lot, particularly in tennis, it feels like, where players just break down and argue and cry. And, John McEnroe used to famously just throw things and have temper tantrums. I mean, she wasn't that.
No,
it wasn't a tantrum like that. I think people are blowing that up a bit. She was just upset.
Yeah,
but it never goes your way when you start arguing like that.
Another lady who had reason to be upset, well, emotional maybe. Did you see this lady from Egypt was 7 months pregnant, competing in fencing?
Yeah.
Like fighting, like that's sword fighting.
Right.
She was 7 months pregnant. She actually won her first round against an American and then lost in like a round of 16. But it's amazing. This lady said there wasn't 2 of us out there fighting. There was 3 because I've got a baby in my belly.
Yeah, well, of course she won. At least I'm surprised she didn't win all of it because who's gonna strike?
Yeah.
I gotta avoid that.
She should have said so before, like, because it's not like it's totally obvious she's pregnant.
But you said she's 7 months.
She's 7 months, but it doesn't look like, she's got a. It doesn't look. She doesn't look obviously pregnant. I don't think. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
your wife's what, about 7, 8 right now?
Yeah, 8 or more.
So she's not doing any fencing?
No, no fencing in our house. Just feet up, lying down, ordering me around.
I mean, it's impressive she can be that active and do that.
It actually is.
Yeah, or that she would want to. I feel like I wouldn't want to, but. That's me. I'm also very lazy, so I can't judge that.
Another big thing coming out of the Olympics this morning, they have been postponing all of the swimming events that were set to take part in the River Seine.
Yeah.
So this was the river that everyone was like, I don't know, it's too dirty in there. Then the Paris mayor said, no, it's not. No, it's not. Is that French accent?
No, I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Probably offensive somewhat.
It's probably offensive.
They spent over $1 billion to clean this river up, and it's still not just dirty. To be specific, there's a high chance of getting E. coli because that indicates there's fecal matter in the river.
Right. Fecal eating poo.
Thanks for clearing that up. I didn't realize that was too fancy of a word that the audience wouldn't get. But
one thing I don't understand about that is, like, don't fish and sharks like poop in the water all the time, and like we don't care about.
I think we get E. coli from fish poop. I think it's probably so small. But
all right, thanks for clearing that up.
I think it's human waste being dumped in. That's I don't know. But do they just have to cancel all this because they keep like, well, we're not going to do it today. We're going to postpone it till tomorrow. If I'm one of these triathletes, I'm not getting in that water.
Well, to win a gold medal, you might.
You're going to swim through poop for a gold medal?
You get a bit of pink eye. Who cares?
Oh, you'll get E. coli.
Actually, you got goggles on. You're not going to even get pink eye. So yeah, they postponed it. So we'll see what happens there. What else?
Fun seeing the interviews with the top 3, the bronze, gold, and silver. And they all got the pink medals or the pink eyes.
They all look kind of high because their eyes are so pink and like bloodshot.
They all get a pink medal.
The last thing I just want to talk about the Olympics, man. Every story on our website just these days is like Battle of the Bulge. Who's got the biggest bulge at the Olympics? There's a diver from France. There's a swimmer from Dutch. Where's Dutch from? Netherlands.
Dutch is
Dutch. Netherlands.
Holland, isn't it?
Holland. Netherlands. How come they got so many names for one country?
I don't know.
Anyway, I digress. Should we get on with our next story?
Yeah.
Angelina and Brad's kid, Pax, had an awful accident in Los Feliz, a trendy part of LA here. He was riding his e-bike, which is essentially another word for like a motorcycle.
It's not exactly a motorcycle, but they do, like 35, 40 miles an hour, I think?
But because it's got bike in the name, people think that they don't have to wear a helmet.
Yeah, it's like a little scooter, which you should wear a helmet on a bike anyway. But yeah, so Pax was hit a car that was stopped at a red light, slammed into the car, was not wearing a helmet. They were worried that he maybe had brain bleeding. He was hospitalized. I think he's stable, okay, might be going home very soon, but wear a helmet.
Wear a helmet.
I know it doesn't look cool, but it's cooler than brain bleeding.
If you're on something with a motor, I say this, but I also ride those e-scooters and I don't
wear a helmet?
It is crazy. Like,
I don't think brain damage would hurt you too much.
Yeah, I know. It might knock something. I would come out and be a genius.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Do you think Brad called to ask how he was doing? Do you think Pax would have accepted the call?
I don't know if Pax would accept. Well, he was in the hospital. I don't know what his condition was to be able to take a call, but it's still his kid, whether they like him or not. I think he cares if they're in an accident. Certainly, you check in.
The kids seem not to like Brad. Angela, obviously.
Angela?
Is it Angela?
Angelina?
Angelina obviously doesn't like Brad. They're always at
but
war.
So I don't know if he would call Pax directly because he's in the hospital, but he would have to call her or at least text.
Yeah.
Like, is he okay?
Yeah. No reply. She leave him on red.
She has to.
It's dad.
Whatever. I know that it's very, very bitter and contentious between them, but when it's the health and safety of your child, you got to put that aside for a second. You would hope.
With our very limited, if not we don't know what's the inner workings of Brad and Angela and their Angelina and their family. How come I kind of feel like I'm on Brad's side even though I don't really know anything? And I think a lot of people have that sort of why are we sort of pro Brad and not Angelina and the rest of the kids?
Because Brad, as a celebrity, as just
we just like
public
him.
figure, he's a very likable guy.
Yeah.
We have no idea what it's like being married to him or being his child. And people say, he said that she's kind of turned the kids against him. It's sort of a he said, she said. But we know the kids are dropping his last name.
Yeah.
They want nothing to do with him. So there's something there. We don't know. I mean, it's just speculation. But yeah, to your point, I don't think he is unbothered by the fact that his kid hit a car and an e-bike. So that's just basic parenting.
All right. Prayers for Pax.
Yeah.
On to our last story, formerly known as our Almost News segment. Britney Spears, her house was listed on the market. It's a beautiful, sprawling estate here in LA. Thousand Oaks, it's called, the suburb she lives in. And you can get it for just under $9 million. Do you think she'll have any buyers?
She would if this was a real listing.
So what happened?
So the property went up on MLS. It's a listing site, and then other sites saw it and started posting, "Oh, Britney Spears' house is for sale." This was hackers pulling a prank, I guess, because Britney and her people were like, "Nope, house is not for sale. I'm not moving." Because fans thought, "Oh, Britney's finally leaving California. She's got nothing here to keep her here. Her kids are gone." No, this was totally not a real listing.
What is the sort of a hacker get out of? Is it just getting it on TMZ, basically?
Just having fun? Maybe. I don't know.
It does seem like fun.
Because even if somebody did get a bid in before they said this wasn't real, the hackers aren't going to get that money. I don't think they were trying to, say, pay us.
Just cause a bit of chaos, have a few lulls.
I guess it's kind of like, remember when swatting was like a trend in LA? When people would call pretending to be a celebrity or someone at a celebrity's house and say that there was like a hostage situation or something, and the SWAT team would come, and it was all a joke. Is this the new swatting listing?
It's a lesser sort of crime, you know what I mean? It's more of a hijinksy sort of thing.
But now if Britney Spears does want to sell that house,
now we won't believe it, will we?
She has to go very public and be like, "I am actually selling this house. This is real this time."
Yeah.
But if they start doing this with a lot of celebrities, how do you know if it's real or not?
That's true.
That's the world we live in. Who knows what anything is real?
Did the house have like a bio, like you can sort of dance in your lingerie in this living, you can twirl knives.
You can twirl around.
Yeah.
You'd have to sell that location and that house would be very famous. Like this is the tiled floor where she's twirling around and doing her Britney thing every day.
But if those walls can talk, like what are they going to see?
I don't know. Who even knows?
Who even knows? But yeah, so Britney Spears' house not on the market, unfortunately.
It is not.
Watch this space. Maybe coming soon.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe now it's put the idea in her head. She's like, maybe I do want to sell this house.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do a little bit more than $9 million.
She seems to be doing a little bit better, like, of the last few weeks. I feel like, she's making kind of amends with her brother. We haven't, heard her doing anything, super outlandish like sometimes we do.
Yeah.
Hopefully this stability is here to stay.
Seems like stability is what she always kind of needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully she's found that now.
All right, Eric. What an episode.
Yeah, we poop in the river and
Poop in the river.
ink eye. You can't top that.
You can't top that, man. All right. Thank you for joining me, mate.
All right, it's always a good time.
And we'll see you guys here tomorrow. Goodbye. 15 minutes on the dot. 15 minutes on the dot.